Where have I gone? Where have I been? Well, from the sound of things, I was with Joyce Carol Oates. What is up, guys? It's Man Sheep Fan here. Welcome back to another video, and it's the first video in 3.5 weeks. Because, woo! I feel like I have some explaining to do. There's no extravagant reason or specific reason why I've been gone for these weeks. It's mainly because I've been extremely busy. And the time that I did have, free to myself, I spent reading. And I did a good significant amount of reading, but at the same time, I also went through a semi-reading slump at the end of March and the beginning of April. But at the same time, I didn't do horrible with it. But at the same time, what am I doing? I'm repeating myself. I have been busy. That's pretty much the extent of it. There's no extravagant reason, and there's nothing like, oh, there's something massive in my life, except for the fact that, things have been happening, but it's just been life things. It's not been, anything interesting, nobody died, or nobody, got sick. It's just been life got in the way, and I had to play catch-up. So, pretty much, that's where I've been. But what you guys are really going to be here for, hopefully, is books. I'm glad I'm going back to BookTube, but at the same time, I want to take a different direction from the channel that I usually do. Even though the one thing that's going to stay is the type of video I'm doing today, a book rant. I still love doing these videos. It helps me get you guys caught up with what I'm reading and what I'm going to be reading. So hopefully that will be fun. But at the same time, I have been dying to have time to do more book reviews. Recently, oh my god, Conrad over at 7 Days at Sea has been my absolute favorite BookTube channel. Though he's very different from other BookTube channels because he does only reviews and little catch-ups, which is what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to do book reviews and these book rants that I keep on doing. That's really the direction of the channel that I want to go in. And I don't want to completely copy his game because what he does is fantastic, but I want to be influenced because he influenced me to do more book reviews. In fact, the first 2 books I'm going to be talking about are practically book reviews. Anyway, that's just what I've been really interested in BookTube lately. If you don't know Conrad, I'll link his channel down below. He's absolutely fantastic. But anyway, enough about me. Let's get into the books, finally. Alright, so like I said, the first 2 books that I'm going to be doing, reviewing are, reviews. I'm going to be reviewing them. And the first one is rather interesting because it's a book that I feel like I should love, and there's parts of it that I do love about it, but it just something was lacking in it, and for the longest time I couldn't put my finger on it, but now I feel like I can, and it's The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy, I think is how I pronounce her name. I don't know. I'm horrible with the names, but this is ultimately about 2 twins, Etsa and Rahel. I'm horrible with names! This is ultimately the story of two twins and their adventures in their lives. And it is a good book. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. But there's just something about it that I didn't love about it. But the one thing that I will say about this book that I loved is Arundhati Roy's writing. It is experimental in the right way. She doesn't constantly keep switching up structures for no apparent reason. She kind of gives you little hints saying, hey, heads up, things are going to be different this chapter. And then when she does, she doesn't dramatically change it, but it's enough for you to notice it. And a lot of her descriptions are beautiful. A lot of her descriptions just blew me away. Her dialogue is great. And some of the characters in this book are absolutely fantastic as well, like Rahel. Or Rahel, whatever. She was a fantastic character, and even though Etsa she's supposed to be a tie between the main character, between her and her twin brother Etsa. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Like I said, I'm terrible with names, but I really categorize her as the main character. She's the one that got the most focus. She's the one that got the most development. So she's honestly, in my opinion, the main character. But the thing that I didn't love about this book was the story. I found it to be rather lackluster and boring compared to the character cast and the writing style. But is this book, but at the same time, it wasn't awful. It just, I wish there was more events that went on, because it does jump back between events and between like when they were born in the early 60s and now when this book was written in 1997. But is this a bad book? Absolutely not. It is actually a really good book, but it could have been so much better, and it had so much potential for me to give it a 4 out of 5 stars. But honestly, if you ask me, I had to give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars, just because even though it's really good, it just had too many issues with it. And the narrative was kind of choppy, the storylines were just kind of eh. But the character cast and the writing style were absolutely fantastic. So I do recommend this for those who are interested. But at the same time, I would not recommend it to those who are just kind of like, whatever, and absolutely hate experimental writing, because this does get pretty experimental, kind of dense, but in a good way. But honestly, I did not love this book, but I do like it and do recommend it. Alright, and then the last book I'm going to be reviewing, like actually reviewing, is my last part of a buddy read. Peter hasn't even started it yet, I don't know what's up, but the Knicks. I never properly reviewed the Knicks, but ultimately I have to, because it's my favorite book of 2017 thus far. Oh my god! What have I been missing throughout the last half of 2016 by not reading this? Well, everything, that's what. This is everything that I asked for in a contemporary novel. It is beautifully written, with the same time switching up styles and narratives, and the storyline just keeps switching back and forth between certain characters and certain time periods. The characters are absolutely fantastic. Like, I swear to goodness, Samuel Anderson is one of the most well-developed characters I've seen ever. I am convinced. And at the same time, the writing style. Oh my goodness, Nathan Hill. This is his debut! This is his debut novel, and it's already like godlike writing. Oh my goodness, I absolutely adored this book. And honestly, if you want a proper review from me, you're not. I'm just fanboy about this, but I'll try my very best. The story of the Knicks is about this man named Samuel Anderson, who's kind of like this offbeat and kind of failing English professor who isn't doing all that well. But there's always like this student of his that keeps absolutely bashing him because she got a bad grade on an essay and a bad grade on an assignment, even though she doesn't care. It beautifully captures like that like certain attitude where it's like, you insult me just because of my gender type of thing. That drives me up a wall, but and this book captures it beautifully. And at the same time, but then he gets encountered by his long lost mother named Faye, who recently attacked a politician, and now she's being convicted for attempted murder. And it's absolutely phenomenal. It is absolutely brilliant. The writing is some of the best I have ever seen. Like, this is like in like the top 25 books in terms of writing that I've ever read. I am completely convinced about that. It is beautiful, beautiful writing. And the Knicks, I just absolutely adored it. I'm utterly speechless about the book's quality, that I cannot do a proper review about it. So that's kind of like an idea of what the book's about and what its major qualities were. I bet I can draw some nitpicks somewhere, but I am not that type of person. And if this book did have any problems, it'd be completely unfair of me to say those problems, because they'd be so small that they ultimately wouldn't matter. So The Knicks is an absolutely gorgeous novel. I think it's phenomenal with its writing style and its humor, and just everything about The Knicks worked. I cannot recommend this enough. Oh my, it's just absolutely fantastic. Alright, real quick, I'm going to go through a library haul that I did the other day, and at the same time, I'm going to save that for later, because I technically bought that, but I'm gonna do books that I got from the library that I plan on reading, and the books that I recently bought. So, and these are not even all the books that I bought. These are just the ones that are like, yeah, let's just get them. So anyway, let's get into the library haul, starting with No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. This is the next book I'm going to be reading after About a Boy by Nick Hornby, which, high fidelity. Oh, I gotta talk about that book later. But Cormac McCarthy, I've read The Road and really liked it, but whenever I try something else by Cormac McCarthy, I just don't get into it. I'm bored by page 50 and I ultimately set it down. But I have not tried this, which is easily his second most famous novel besides The Road. But I hope that this is good, and I cannot wait. And the second book that I got from the library is A Simple Plan by Scott Smith, and this is bigger than I thought. It's like over 400 pages, but it sounds really interesting. I think it's about these like group of kids that find a plane wreck, and they find loads of money inside the plane, and it's kind of them fighting over who gets the money. It's like millions upon millions of dollars. It sounds really interesting. I've heard good things about it. Well, the few things I've heard about it, because it's not an extremely famous book, but it was famous enough that it got turned into a mediocre movie, like most contemporary novels. But A Simple Plan, I hope I really like this, because I've heard pretty good things about it. Alright, the next book is from an author that I know that I like, and I hopefully will get to more of her work soon, which includes this, St. Lucy's Home for Girls Raised by Wolves by Karen Russell. I have read Swamplandia, which the original story that Swamplandia was based on is in this collection. In fact, I think it's the first story, so that's really cool. And it's one of the most funny books I've ever read in my entire life. It is absolutely fantastic, and I cannot recommend it enough. But St. Lucy's Home for Girls Raised by Wolves, I think this is going to be a fantastic short story collection because I've heard nothing but brilliant things about it, so yeah. Alright, the next book is a book that I've heard not so good things about, but I've heard just excellent things about this woman's short story, so you know what? This book sounds good to me, so I'm going to try it. It's The Optimist's Daughter by Eudora Welty. This book has terrible ratings on Goodreads, which is pretty much where I find out the most about books, well, that and BookTube, but Eudora Welty is absolutely, what am I talking about? I haven't even read her, but she sounds fantastic. So, and it's really short. It's like 150 pages, I think. Yeah, like 180 actually. Correction. But this book sounds absolutely fantastic. It's a real short one, so maybe I may even potentially get through this in one sitting if I like it enough. So, cannot wait. And then the final library book that I have is probably the one that I'm most excited about. Either this one or, I don't know, I'm excited for all of these. But if I had to choose which one I'm most excited for, it may be this one. Franz Kafka's The Castle. I know this is incomplete. I know I'm going into this not expecting a 100% complete story. But the ending I've heard he technically gives is enough. But there's loads of plot lines that are unsolved, so I am aware of that. But it's still like 400 pages, so I consider it a actual novel, and even though with it being incomplete. But this is the Franz Kafka book I find them to be the most interesting. Not because of its publication history, even though it's absolutely fascinating, but because of its premise. The premise of this book is pretty much about this man named Kay who lives in this village that is run by people who live in this castle. And so the book, if you can probably guess, is about Kay rising slowly up to the castle to meet with these officials. And I've heard this is absolutely fantastic. I've heard it's one of Kafka's best, if not his absolute best and most underrated book. And it sounds awesome. I absolutely love this type of premise. And to think that Franz Kafka did something like this is just fascinating. So, hopefully I'll enjoy this. And then the last stack of books that I have for the video are all books that I've purchased from either the library bookstore or Amazon. So I think only one of them I actually bought from Amazon, which I'll tell you which one that is, because Amazon is cheap lately. Has anybody else noticed that? Amazon is extremely cheap. Like, I found, like, one book, I think it was The Turner House by whatever her name is, and it was $4.50 for the hardcover. Prime. How? That is so cheap! And it's brand new! Oh my goodness! It's not even used! I don't know, maybe they just have a surplus of everything and they're selling off cheap. But thank you! It's been beneficial for me. But anyway, the majority of these are from the library bookstore. So the first one I have is The Hot Zone by, what's this guy's name? Richard Preston. I don't know why. Because $1. I got this book. $1. It's signed. It is signed. Sure, I may be not Amy, but, you know, who cares? It's a signature. I think this is about Ebola. I am really, like 99.99999% sure that this is about Ebola. And it was before, like, Ebola became, like, a meme in the internet. In fact, this was during the dawn of the internet that this book was written in, like, 95. So, honestly, this just sounds awesome. It sounds something exactly up my alley in terms of nonfiction. So, hopefully I enjoy this, because it just sounds great. And then the next book that I got is, actually I'm gonna show these two together because I got them in a box set. Because I don't normally buy box sets because usually books, like, normal books, like, the books that I'm usually interested in don't come in box sets because usually the box setted books are, like, high fantasy mass market paperbacks. And I'm just like, oh my god, whatever. Though I am interested in, what's the guy's name? Brandon Sanderson. If anybody has any recommendations for Brandon Sanderson, I've been thinking about reading Mistborn, but I don't know if, like, The Way of Kings is, like, the way to go. So, but anyway, I'm digressing. I got 2 Stephen King mass market paperbacks because I absolutely adore Stephen King, and Night Shift and Pet Sematary are actually 2 of the ones that I needed the most in my collection. And now I have them. And I'm going to be reading Night Shift first. I know people love Pet Sematary, but I just feel like I need to read Night Shift first because I'm in a really big short story mode lately, and I just feel like I needed to get to this. So this will be relatively soon, and then but if I like this enough, then I think I may just hop right into Pet Sematary or another shorter Stephen King book because I'm not really in the mood for a 700-page beast right now. But Pet Sematary is like it's not small, but it's about like 400 pages, so it's not god-awful. But Pet Sematary, I've heard, is one of Stephen King's absolute best, and it's a shame that I haven't read it so far, so hopefully I could change that. So yay. The next book is a book that I've been meaning to buy for a year now. I'm not even joking, for like over a year. And I finally got myself a copy. I have read this. I read it a long time ago, and I really enjoyed it, but I feel like I'd get more out of it if I read it as a college student. So I'm going to save this one for a reread in college, and that is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Yes, this book was really good. I did like it, but I feel like I'll get more out of it as I grow older. Because I feel like that Hunter S. Thompson is one of those writers that you really love as an adult. Though I do absolutely adore Ralph Steadman. That's probably the best one I can show. And even then, there's blood in it. But you know what? I love Ralph Steadman. Oh my goodness, I love his drawing so much. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I absolutely love this book. Well, I do really like this book, but I don't like love it like a lot of people do. But I do think it's very good, and it is, and I can see it's deserving its hype. I do think it's a good book. Alright, the next book is a book I haven't read yet, and I've never read this author in general, so hopefully I like this, but I don't know. I really don't know. But it's Brooklyn by Colm Tobin, and there's a book club Costco sticker right there, and it's not even a sticker, it's printed on. Why Costco? Why? I buy stuff from you, and you do this to me. I'm just kidding. But Brooklyn got turned into a movie. In fact, this is the movie cover. That's fun. Yeah, I just realized that, but it took a while for me to realize that it was the book cover, the movie cover, so I think I'll keep it. But plus, I've heard this is a pretty good book, so why not? Alright, the next book, and you know what, I'm just going to show these last two together, well, simultaneously, and that is, first one is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver, which, my next, single video review will most likely be this book, unless if I read a book soon that I feel like I need to review, or either this or High High Fidelity by Nick Hornby. But we need to talk about Kevin. Pretty much in short, I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. I'm not going to go too deep into my thoughts about it, but it definitely deserves all the hype that it deserves. It's fantastic. But then I saw the post-birthday world at the library bookstore yesterday, and I decided to pick it up. And Kate from Kate File is planning on reading this in April, so maybe, Kate, if you want to, we could do a buddy read. Because I feel like, but I will warn you, Kate, that Lionel Shriver's writing style, it's great, but it takes about 50 pages to really get it. So don't give up on the book 50 pages in. Trust me, it will get better. Or at least with We Need to Talk About Kevin, it did. I don't know about Post-Birthday World. But with at least We Need to Talk About Kevin, it took me about a good 50 pages to really get into it. So anyway, that's my first video in April! Woo! I have not done this in a long time, and it feels real good as well. In fact, I forgot how much I enjoyed doing YouTube. In fact, it's April 9th as of me recording this. It's probably going to be April 9th when I upload this, because I'm going to just edit this and then upload this. So, anyway, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what you guys thought of the video. And as always, I'm Mega Man Chief Fan, and I'll see you later, guys.